No more running down the wrong road, dancing to a different drum. Can't you see what's going on deep inside your heart? Always searching for the real thing, living like it's far away. Leave all the madness in yesterday. You're holding the key when you believe it. Shine, sweet freedom, shine your light on me. Hello.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of the This Are Johnny Domino podcast.
Hello, everybody.
A light-hearted and amusing and sometimes moving look at two brothers, their relationship and their musical history.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, well, I think so, yeah.
I thought it was just two white blokes
Wanging on.
speaking, in a middle-aged heterosexual way.
Could be, but, who's looking out for the middle-aged white blokes in media? Where do they go to get the things that speak to them?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for adding the little bit of vocal at the end of your lyrics, because I was nowhere near picking that up.
Really?
Until you started singing, yeah.
Oh, man, I've been getting into the work of Mr. Michael McDonald. What a voice. You nearly got Yamo B there.
I quite like that one as well.
I know, it was a toss-up. I spent the last week trying to decide whether I was going to do Sweet Freedom or Yamo B there.
Is that James Ingram and Michael McDonald?
It is indeed.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
It is. Have you listened to the Thundercat track with Michael McDonald on?
I think I have. Does it also feature the Loggins as well?
It does. It features Kenny Loggins as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's off the Drunk album, isn't it?
Mm. I saw them performing it on. Well, I didn't see it on TV. I saw it on YouTube, but they were performing on TV. And Michael McDonald looks great. Kenny Loggins has done some things to his face.
Oh, dear.
It's not a good look.
Oh,
not a good look.
That's a pity. But Michael McDonald's looking good, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he just let himself go. Well, he's aging normally.
I don't know. I think he's looking good for his age, really.
Yeah.
And he still could sing.
Oh, aye.
He still could sing. And I like the way on that Thundercat track, they kind of introduce him like he's like God or something. It's really good. Sounds great.
If you want someone to sing ludicrous backing vocals, ridiculous intervals.
I think we're going to stop talking about Michael McDonald before we fall out. Okay, we better move on before we fall out.
I love Michael McDonald.
Yeah.
I love him.
Don't ever take his name in vain, man. Right,
get his name out of your mouth.
The This Are Johnny Domino podcast. It's got bongos.
Here we go. What we normally do is we talk about some songs, either that we have recorded in the past or that people have sent to us or that we just like and we want to talk about.
That's kind of what we normally do.
But it does all eventually come back to us because it's our podcast. And we're those kind of guys. So it could be completely unrelated, but eventually it all comes back to us.
It does.
Me.
Our little corner of the universe here.
Yes.
So, what have you been up to, man?
Not a huge amount. It was our mother's birthday at the weekend, so everything's been kind of building up to that. And that was a good time. It was a good time.
My high point of that day was being told by my auntie Gail.
Yeah.
She said to me, "Oh, Giles, you're shooting up." Which is such a surreal
What a strange thing to say to a man who is 54.
54. I was like, excuse me, I don't ever take intravenous drugs.
You are getting tall. Oh, you're going to catch me up. etc. That's a weird thing to say.
etc. So that was weird. And that was good, wasn't it?
It was a lovely day.
Today I watched a good video on the YouTube, a trash theory video. I really like his videos. You watched that series, right?
Nope.
And there's one about the B-52s.
All right.
He's just put out...
And what's he saying about the B-52s?
He's saying, like, the history of the B-52s. And we love the B-52s.
We've mentioned it before.
We've mentioned it before, yeah. But this is the first really good video I've seen for a while about them. So
cool.
I'd check it out.
Yeah.
I think they're becoming popular again because we like them.
Well, I was starting to tense up when you mentioned the B-52s in the similar way that you did when we were talking about Michael McDonald. I was thinking, is someone talking shit about the B-52s because I ain't having it?
No, I'm not going to talk shit about the B-52s.
No.
They were heroes.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't mention the singing of Kate and Cindy last time we talked about them. And I was so annoyed that I didn't mention it in the podcast when we talked about them. So I'm mentioning it now.
Yes, good.
On the 90s Derby scene, I just want to be seen. On the 90s Derby scene, where have you been? On the 90s Derby scene, I just want to be seen. What musical cuisine Stephen Jars are going to serve today?
And here we are with our musical cuisine again from the 90s music scene in Derby.
Yeah. This is actually from the noughties music scene, not from the 90s music scene, unusually.
We can push it though, can't we? We can push it.
Well, I think we are pushing it a little bit.
Yeah.
Imagine, if you will, an indie pavement-esque version of Blazing Squad, and you will be imagining the young gunslingers called Plans and Apologies. There are at least 20 people in the band on the stage at any time.
To cut a long story short, they were the younger, better band.
Oh yeah, they were really good, and they were
than us.
They were
in relation to us.
Yeah, again, bringing it back to us. But they were really, really good band. Very original songs, incredibly tight, all pretty good looking. You know, it's like, it's like, for fuck's sake, man.
It wasn't really fair, was it, to be honest? I was like, just dial it back a bit, lads. Dial it back a bit.
Give the old men a chance.
Anyway, yeah, we had some experiences with this band.
We did have some experiences.
You had a particular experience with this band.
I still get the shivers just thinking about it, to be honest.
Oh. Well, that's good in a way, because you know what do you do with trauma, Steve?
I think I know. Tell me.
What do you think you do? You need to externalise that trauma, man. And we need to do some therapy here.
Drama therapy.
You ready for this?
Let's go.
Setting: interior of a coach, mid-1990s, Saturday afternoon, en route to London. The cast: Steve, guitarist from Johnny Domino, 20s, self-serious and bookish. Emma, Steve's girlfriend, sharp-tongued, sips from a thermos. Bozo, bassist from Plans and Apologies, wiry, chaotic, and he talks like a beatnik. Jude, singer of Plans and Apologies, dreamy and a bit vague. Eddie, drummer of Plans and Apologies, he's a bit of a practical joker. And then there's Mr. Whittaker, the co-founder of Artists Against Success. He's in his mid-40s. I imagine he's balding and he's rather tightly wound, a bit wound up. And then in the background, there are other band members and other hangers-on kind of chattering.
Cool. And in our bald, positive frame of mind, there's nothing wrong with Mr. Whittaker potentially balding.
No, it's just part of the character. Bald positive.
Yeah, absolutely. Bald positive. We love you. We see you. Thank you very much.
The coach hums with excited chatter. Rows of mismatched indie kids sprawl with instruments and snacks. At the back, Steve and Emma sit stiffly. In front, Bozo, Jude and Eddie huddle together with manic glee.
Bozo, rolling a joint, says, "Say, Daddy-O, this gig's gonna knock the wax out of London's ears, man. We are the scene, dig?"
Jude. It's all vibes. Cosmic vibrations and snare rolls, baby.
Eddie. Pass that jazz cigarette, Bowes. Let's elevate.
Oh, he's a bit more of a deviant, isn't he? That one,
Yeah.
Eddie. You've got to watch him.
I'm picturing him.
Yeah. The others are more like hippies, aren't they?
Yeah.
Right. Next it's Emma. That's not Earl Grey.
Steve. Undoubtedly. The Herbal stench of juvenile rebellion. God, they're like a walking enemy article.
Can't we just have a civilised arrival and a nice cup of tea? This isn't Glastonbury. This isn't Glastonbury. There you go, that's better.
Okay. Right. Very nice.
Suddenly, the coach slows. Murmurs spread. A few heads turn. The coach pulls onto the hard shoulder. A tense silence falls. Then, footsteps. Enter Mr. Whittaker, storming up the aisle. Mr. Whittaker. Unbelievable. This is a contracted vehicle, not a sodding commune on wheels. He stops in front of Plans and Apologies, who have hastily shoved the joint into their guitar case. I'd paid a deposit, gentlemen. A refundable deposit. This is not a bloody Stone Roses tour bus. The band feign confusion. Jude clutches a Dreamcatcher necklace. Jude says, Mr. Whittaker, we're as innocent as sleeping lambs in a field of conscience. Right, who's responsible? I smell it. Everyone smells it. What the hell's going on here?
Bozo says innocently, "Whoa, Mr. W, we're clean as vinyl on first play. If there's a skunky vibe, it's wafting. Sorry, it's wafting back from those cats behind us."
Jude. Yeah, that fella with the Penguin Classic and the lady with the thermos behind us. They were giggling something fierce.
Eddie. "I'm sure I saw a bongo under his seat."
Oh, Eddie's dobbing him in.
I know, what a shit.
Little bastard. Right, Mr. Whittaker. You two? Smoking dope? Really, Steve? Emma. Offended. Excuse me, this thermos contains nothing but Darjeeling.
Steve says, "This is absurd. I have allergies."
See, there's truth in the drama. Right. The coach starts moving again, and Mr. Whittaker walks off, grumbling. Eddie.
"Flipped it like pancakes, Bose. Genius." Bozo says, "Never trust a man with a library in his lap." Steve to Emma, fuming, "I swear on Johnny Domino's discography, I'll clear my name."
Perhaps after your tea.
Lights dim as the coach fades into the distance, heading towards a gig no one will ever forget.
And at that gig, they played something like this.
There's a fresh breeze blowing from European waters. You can let out your daughters. I've become obsessed, and though it's so complicated and perhaps overrated, my desire has been baited. Want to see her undress, want to caress her body like I caress my body when I've got no body, and my life is a mess, and my sheets are a mess. At a guess I've been granted something slightly enchanted and some happiness. We thought you said you would not fall in love. That was then, this is now. I didn't plan. This is the awkward
Plans and Apologies.
Yeah, and that is a song called Ever the Optimist from their album Soz, which was released in 2011. And it says, this release is our final album, finished posthumously in bedrooms and then polished up in the studio. They didn't play that song on the gig.
But you were travelling down to a gig, weren't you, Steve?
Yeah, we were travelling down to a gig and back. It was a gig at the fabled Windmill in Brixton, birthplace of bands like Black Midi and Black Country New Road. And that whole Windmill Brixton scene with a dog on the roof. If you remember, There was a dog on the roof. And it was an Artists Against Success event. So a lot of bands from the label played, including us. They organised a coach for people from Derby to go down and come back. And I was on the coach with my girlfriend of the time, now my wife, Emma, of the Earl Grey, and my now sister-in-law and her then boyfriend. And there's a coach filled with Derby luminaries. You guys all went down in a car and we did the gig. And the events that were dramatised in that little play actually happened on the way back from the gig.
Ah, so they did actually happen, though.
Yeah,
it was exactly like
it
that.
Was almost
but it was
exactly like that.
It was after the gig.
Yes.
Okay, right.
All 30 members of Plans and Apologies took up most of the coach.
There are only 3 of them speaking in the play, obviously.
But all 40 members were smoking weed on the bus, and the bus driver copped it and pulled up and said, if you don't stop smoking weed, I'm going to boot you all off the coach. And this was like going back middle of the night on the M1. And he stopped at the Plans and Apologies boys, and they kind of beckoned backwards. And he came up to us, and he had a bit of a teachery face on him and basically threatened to boot us off the coach. And it started again, and it was not pleasant. And at the event, everybody who attended was given a bag of records and CDs from Artists Against Success artists.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a copy of the first Plans and Apologies album in my bag.
I feel like I need to give you a hug.
No,
now.
It's okay.
After that,
I'm getting it. I'm building up to something. And the album was called Torn Out Pages from the Middle Ages. And I thought, those wankers nearly got me thrown off the coach. I listened to the album, and the annoying thing was, it was fucking great.
Well, yeah.
And they're nice blokes.
And they're criminally underrated band, I would say.
Yeah.
But maybe it's time for a revival.
I think so. We did a couple of gigs with them over a couple of Christmases at the famous Blessington Carriage in Derby. Well, we only did one with them, I think, at the Bless. And then we did our last ever gig was a Christmas gig at a place called the Vaults in Derby. And they were headlining and we were supporting them.
Yeah. Nice chaps.
Yes.
Nice chaps.
Apart from the excessive weed smoking and blame passing.
I can forgive both of those things, really.
What musical cuisine Stephen Jars are going to serve today?
Steve, we've got so far through the podcast and you haven't played my new jingle yet.
Well, here it comes.
Making a podcast in the face of certain doom. We are this, our Johnny Domino. We're making a podcast and we're playing obscure tunes. This, our Johnny Domino. We're brothers, we wear glasses. We've got medical conditions. We've both been alive for a while. We're making a podcast in the face of certain doom. It's time for this, our Johnny Domino.
Oh, something like that, anyway.
It's a very nice jingle.
Might play that one again. Played that one on the old keytar. So, Steve.
Yes?
That jingle, can you pick up any influence on the style anywhere in that?
No, I think it's an entirely new form of music.
It's the bluegrass rhythm.
It's beautiful. I particularly like the little banjo figure on it. It's great.
Yes.
What influence do you think there was?
Obviously, Steve, it's from one of the godfathers of podcasting, Adam Buxton, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously. I started making it and then I just realised that's clearly just Adam Buxton ripoff. But I quite liked it. So there you go. I'm going to call it a tribute
Okay.
But I think you've already also created a tribute one, haven't you?
Yeah, and it's horrible because...
But should we play that one a bit later on?
Cool.
It'll be nice. It'll fit in nicely. It's time to talk about... I don't know. I don't really understand entirely what the PRF series thing is, website, Bandcamp thing is, but you do. So maybe you could tell us about it. But I like it, and I was listening to the wedding present thing. Anyway, go on, tell us about it.
Yeah, the description on the Bandcamp page explains it. A band is picked at the start of the month. Musicians have the full month to record songs by that band or about that band or in the style of that band. It's quite loose. At the end of the month, participants vote for the top 3 recordings. The winning entry selects the next month's band, and Good Times and Killer Recordings since 2014. So they've been doing this for a long ass time.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of them, isn't there? There's I scrolled down the page. There's loads.
Yeah. And May 2025 was the wedding present, and the whole month was won by our good friend, Frankie Machine.
Oh, yes, he did. And I know that we played a Frankie song last episode of the This or Johnny Domino podcast. So we might be coming across a little bit Frankie heavy. But I heard this the other day. You played it to me. Yeah. And I just thought that's too good to not play.
It's a great version of what I think is one of the wedding present's weakest songs. That's lovely, isn't it?
That's beautiful, that was.
It's a really great version. The gentleman playing saxophone is a member of the PRF tribute series group called Gary Garn.
Oh.
And Gary is basically, he's a musician in his own right, but he is effectively the saxophone player for hire. There was a high percentage of people, particularly in the wedding present month, where he supplied saxophone.
Oh, I see. So he's featured on a few of them. Right,
Oh, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Right, but that one won, right?
Yeah.
That one won that we just listened to. And I think deservedly so.
Me too. I think it's great.
Having listened to everything else, there's some interesting stuff there.
Yes.
I think the wedding present's an interesting one because I think the songs are quite good.
Yeah.
But you could tend to sort of just go for something that sounds a bit like the wedding present.
Mm.
I don't know. The lyrics, I think his voice is hard to do something with.
Yeah, to avoid sounding like Dave Gedge.
Yeah. What is it next month?
It's Billy Idol.
I asked that question rhetorically because we are currently in the process of trying to put together a Billy Idol cover.
Yes, we are.
To enter into the gladiatorial combat of the PRF tribute series.
Yeah.
And we'll see what how ours does. If we win, I think our choice for the next artist could be, I'm thinking Michael McDonald or Status Quo.
Status Quo. Okay.
Anyhow,
We will
obviously
see.
You're going to have some input on this. You can have some input on
Thanks. It's nice to know that I am needed for some things.
Look, podcasting editor, you're doing a great job. All right.
Hey, do you want to hear my jingle?
Yeah, I think I do, actually. Yeah, I think I do want to hear your jingle. It's a bit like one of those jingles that Adam Buxton would sort of slip in there in the middle of a conversation with like Sue Lawley or something. Jingle, 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 jingle. Jingle, 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 jingle.
Yeah, I think the drum and bass beat definitely makes it Buxton-like.
Buxton-esque.
Buxton-esque, yes.
I love a bit of drum and bass, and it was good.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
Always
Play that
always
one again,
nice.
I reckon. We'll play that one
Okay.
again.
Lovely.
Thanks, Frankie. Amazing work. You're a
As always.
legend. A legend.
You know, when we're doing our Billy Idol cover, Sir William of Idol, should
Yeah.
we get Gary to do something other than play sax? Gary Garn.
We could get Gary to play
The kazoo?
the kazoo or a comb and paper or something.
Comb and paper. I was thinking comb and paper.
Or get him to play the violin.
Or something he can't play.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll just say, what can't you play? Could you get hold of a flute or
That's the
a
sort of
sackbut?
stupid thing that we would do. We're not going to do that. We're going to make a really, really, really good Billy Idol cover that's going to appeal to the mass of people.
Yes.
I wasn't sure about the Johnny Domino podcast, but I gave it a chance, and now I think I love it.
This podcast is called This Are Johnny Domino, so we need to talk about at least one Johnny Domino song, the original remit of the podcast being to select songs to go on a Best of Johnny Domino mixtape. And you selected the song that we're talking about today.
Did I?
Yes, you did, because I sent you a cryptic message earlier today, didn't I?
didn't. We had a choice of two. We were deciding on between two instrumental tracks.
Yes.
And I couldn't decide on which one, so I'll let you choose. But you turned it around and made it so I've chosen.
Absolutely.
Okay,
That's
thanks.
exactly what I did.
Thanks.
I said, pick a number from 7, 10, 12, or 13. You chose 12, which means you selected a song called Johnny Bloody Domino.
Oh, dear. That's the one that I'm most scared of playing.
But he's definitely got something. Shall we just go straight into it?
Give people a little bit of a health and safety warning.
Well, both songs that were up for selection were examples of the kind of things that can do when you live with your mum and dad and you've got a 4-track machine plugged into a stereo permanently and you have musical instruments in your room and you have nothing to do. I think this was a particularly good Friday night. I just thought, let's just do something.
Have a bit of fun.
Having a bit of light-hearted, easygoing fun on my own in my bedroom.
I think it's a piece of work, man.
I really like that really high note.
I know, you can't edit that bit out.
Here we go. Come on.
Bring it home. It's been very difficult growing up with such a talented sibling, actually.
Oh, shut up.
We've never really talked about that. Very hard to deal with.
Shut up.
I think I'm mentally scarred from that, actually.
Oh, give over. Look, that was just I tell you what, that was a lot of fun doing it. I remember it. Because I recorded it all at half speed with the express purpose of turning it all up to double speed. So I didn't have a bass guitar, so it's just like 3 tracks of guitar. All the feedback is from the headphones. So I was obviously playing quite loud in my headphones. Distorted drum machine. Everyone loves a bit of distorted drum machine.
Yeah.
Get the old juices going. And then I played it at the slow speed, and I quite like that as well. So I mixed 2 versions of it, one fast, one slow, put them both on the 4-track, and then we recorded some backwards vocals.
Backward vocals at the end. I have no idea what we're saying. I imagine it's something stupid. I imagine it's nothing to do with Satan whatsoever.
Well, I can play it you. It's still quite difficult to hear.
Send naked photos.
Send naked photos. Phone your parents. Turn that music down. Drugs are bad for you. Don't do drugs. Drink more tea. Open a packet of biscuits. Send us all your money.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good message. So that narrowly missed out on being included on the album, I imagine.
Well, I recorded it for inclusion on Rabbit Themes, our first album.
Narrowly missed out.
I think we could have lost a couple of other songs off there and got that one on there.
Yeah.
Just to lighten things up a little bit. I'm not sure.
Maybe. I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was a little bit scary for me, actually, today. But in some moods, I would quite like that.
Yeah.
Do you think it would possibly be one for inclusion in the next very best of This Are Johnny Domino? Volumes 1 and 2 already out. Volume 3 coming at some point.
Yes. I enjoy listening to it. Depends if anybody else enjoys listening to it. Or if no one enjoys listening to it, we might just include it anyway.
Well, are you thinking you want to?
I like it. I like it, but then I did it. You know what I mean? It's like, it was just a very free time. You know, I was able to just set things up and knock something out like that.
I think some people would like that. There's loads of music like that out there that's like a bit extreme. You know, lots of people like that kind of stuff.
It's time for the This Are Johnny Domino podcast. Time for some very obscure music. Chet, Giles, and Steve will probably argue about something pointless. So yeah.
Long-time listeners to the podcast will remember the name Leon of Uncle Sham and the legendary Nice Trombone. Previous appearances on the This Are Johnny Domino podcast, which we can link in the show notes. Leon records a lot of music under the name Erstwhile Friend, and he recently released an album called A Hill of Cinders. He sent it to us to have a listen. We liked it and got him to send us some words about it.
Hi Giles, hi Steve. Thanks so much for playing the title track for my new album, Hill of Cinders. The album was inspired by my childhood memories of Babington Colliery in Nottingham. My grandparents lived a stone's throw from the pit, and in the 70s and 80s, my parents would drive and take us to visit them most weekends. The route took us right past the colliery, and some of my earliest memories as a child are of watching the headstock wheels turning as we drove by. I've tried to create some sort of narrative for the album, beginning with the sun rising over the headstocks, the winding gear lowering a cage full of men down to the coal face, the dangers faced by the miners, and the ultimate sacrifice many of them made to literally keep the home fires burning. The album finishes off with the inevitable downturn of the pit, triggered by the miners' strike, then its closure and eventual regeneration of the site. The title track that you're so kindly playing features a brass section to evoke the brass bands who played for the colliery. There's some strange symmetry with the Johnny Domino podcasts, as the trombone is played by Mark, a mutual friend of Steve and myself, who actually introduced me to the podcast in the first place. Bruce is on sax, who played a nice trombone, and Chris is on tuba, who played an Uncle Sham, both of which bands have been played on This Are Johnny Domino. Anyway, thanks again, and keep up the good work, chaps.
Oh, could you see the sun coming up over the pit's head there?
Did it take you back to your youth working down the mine, did it, Giles?
No, because I didn't work down the mine, but our father did.
He certainly did, at the age of 14 or something stupid.
He did, and he worked at a pit very near to the Babington colliery, which Leon was talking about there, Clifton Pit. And, I remember growing up around stuff to do with coal mines and things, but they were all kind of being run down
Big time.
at that point, really. And that music I thought was absolutely beautiful, very evocative. And maybe just think of the sun coming up behind that pit head and seeing the quite beautiful, actually, in a way, in a kind of an ugly industrial way.
Yeah.
Blind Freddie could see that was a good song.
Blind Freddie could see that she was just using him.
Oh, Chloe, come off it. Blind Freddie could see that you're still in love with him.
Well, I reckon Blind Freddie could see she played rings around the other girl.
Well, assuming Blind Freddie wasn't deaf, I suppose he could. It's about time Blind Freddie could see you were meant to be together.
Oh, come on now. Blind Freddie could see how much time you two have been spending together lately.
And it might be easier if Blind Freddie didn't see so much of us hanging out together, right?
Well, what do you mean, what do I think? There's nothing to think. They're ruined. Blind Freddie can see that.
Blind Freddie could see that was a good song.
I've got to use that phrase a bit more. Blind Freddie. Thank you to Leon. Man, I think that the whole album is good, actually. Cool. If you listen to the whole album, that's the title track. The whole album's great. It works as a whole piece. It paints a really amazing picture. I love all the tracks on it, really, but I like listening to the whole thing. It's really nice to have some brass instruments being used in that way with the electronic sounds. And I really do think it's a great piece of work. So I want more people to hear it.
Beautiful.
So that's why we're playing it, isn't it, Steve? Because we want people to hear it, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you, Leon, for your music and your words and for your continued listening to our bizarre podcast.
And yes, and Leon has got involved in the past in some of our engagement opportunities.
Yes.
Hasn't he? Hasn't he? Hasn't he? I did have another version of engagement opportunities. This is Russian.
Okay.
Возможность участия. Engagement opportunities there.
Can you say that once more for the people in the back?
Возможность участия.
Tasty.
And Turkey Paul sent us one, didn't he? It's quite amusing because it's got his wife at the front end of it going, "What are you doing?" in Turkish. And then he does engagement opportunities. So I quite like I like that. That wasn't the version that he wanted me to use, but there you go.
Cool. Well, we are at the end of the podcast. So let's say thank you to Plans and Apologies for being massive stoners and their fantastic music. Thank you to Frankie for being great, and Gary Garn.
Dave Garn.
Dave Garn. He doesn't play the saxophone on the Frankie song.
Love Dave Garn.
He's
a tidy dancer, that guy.
Were they the first band you saw live?
Yeah, they were. They were.
I thought so.
They were very good as well. Everything Counts tour, 1983.
Amazing. So, thank you, Frankie and Gary, brother of Dave Garn, for his saxophone playing. Thanks to me for being bored on a Friday night. And thanks to Giles and Jim for being bored and recording some random noises backwards. And thank you to Leon again.
Speaking. Yeah, and thanks for everybody for listening.
Yeah.
And please do. No, actually, I have got an end bit.
Interrupt yourself. Go for it.
I've interrupted myself.
Go on. Go.
I've interrupted myself. Talking about Turkey Paul, I've been getting into a bit of Turkish music.
Oh, God, you have.
Barış Manço. Born in 1943, Turkish rock musician, singer, composer, actor, TV star, and general cultural hero of Turkey. His older brother was called Savaş, I think. That might be terrible. Savaş, which means war in Turkish. And then his mother and father had another son, Barış.
Yes.
And that means peace in Turkish. So they had war, two brothers, war and peace. And peace, Barış Manço, went on to be a rock star. A main figure in the Anatolian
Yes, that sounds good.
Rock scene, which is basically Turkish psychedelic rock.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to quite a lot of it. I'm loving the busy bass lines, the spacey synths, the kind of weirdly alien chord movements, and the earnest vocals. There is an album, the title of which I cannot even begin to say. It's got the word disco in it and mancho. Basically, it's the album that's got the most ridiculous cover. That's the way I always try and choose which album to listen to when I'm confronted with a lot of albums on Spotify by an artist that I don't know. I chose the one with the most ridiculous cover. He's standing against a red background and he looks like a wizard. And it's a weird album because it's got like loads of songs, but they're like seem like quite shortened versions. So it's quite nice because you get kind of shorter blasts of these songs. But yeah, they're all great. Kolbasti, Daglar, which means mountains. And then there's the one English track called Nick the Chopper.
Oh, yes, that's the one you sent me in the video, and I said, "Is this Matt Berry?"
Yeah, I think play a little bit of it now. Anyway, that's what I'm getting into.
So Barish was peace,
and his brother was war.
What was he good for?
No!
What was he good for?
No, Steve!
Come on.
You got the funniest joke in the whole episode there.
No one thinks it's funny.
Jesus.
Well, have fun with that, everybody.
Okay.
I'm sure that occurred to quite a few people as you were talking about War and Peace.
We'll be back in a few weeks with another episode. Please do send us some stuff, music, or just anything really. And we'll be back with more music and shit soon.
Please do like and subscribe to our podcast and recommend it to someone who you think might like listening to all this kind of weird shit. Send us some of your old music and enter the eternal halls of the 4-track gods.
Yes.